right, we're going to call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order on September 4th, 2024. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Thibodeau.
Here.
Alderman Gouveia is here. Alderman Moran.
Here.
Alderwoman Timmons. Alderman Clemens. Alderman Clee.
Here.
Mayor Donches.
Here. All right, the first item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone who would like to comment on any of the items on tonight's agenda? No one here, so we'll just move on. Communications. First one from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, Alderman Gouveia.
In regard to emergency PO request, Charter Contracting Company LLC. And that's just an accept, place on file.
So if there's no objection, we're just going to accept this and place it on file. Next communication from, again, Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, Alderman Gouveia.
In regard to software maintenance for our Tyler Technologies in the amount of $104,213.25, funded from 54407 Software Maintenance / General Fund. I'm going to make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve the 12-month annual renewal contract for continued operation of support and update licensing with Tyler Technologies for the property tax and utility software in the amount of $104,213.25. Funding will be through Department 120, Technology Maintenance, Fund 54407, Software Maintenance / General Fund.
Mr. Misevich.
Thank you, Mayor Donches. Nick Misevich, Chief Information Officer for the City of Nashua. As mentioned, this is the annual renewal for the Munis software, of which the tax department utilizes for property and utility billing throughout the year. Any questions?
Alderman Moran.
Is this one of those things that you're still assisting Director Cummings on in the assessing department, or is this with you all the time?
This just falls under the
Okay.
annual renewals,
Just curious if you still have this, if he's giving you more and more work.
always.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, Alderman Gouveia.
In regard to a joint funding agreement for the Merrimack River Steam Gauge in the amount of $24,000 funded from 81700 Infrastructure Improvement / Merrimack River Levy. I'm going to make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve a 3-year joint funding agreement with the U.S. Geological Survey, New England Water Science Center, New Hampshire Vermont Office, Pembroke, New Hampshire, for the continued operation and maintenance of the steam gauge on the Merrimack River in the amount of $24,000. Funding will be through Department 169 Wastewater, Fund 81700 Infrastructure Improvement / Merrimack River Levy.
Mr. Hudson?
Good evening, Dan Hudson, City Engineer. This is before you because this is a multi-year agreement. Back in 2021, we entered into an agreement with the United States Geological Survey, or USGS, to install a new state-of-the-art stream gauge on the Merrimack River. This is on one of the bridges that connects us with Hudson. The previous gauge had fallen into disrepair. There's a number of years when we didn't get data, so this gauge enables us to monitor river elevations. USGS does all the heavy lifting. They install the gauge, they host the data, they post it on the website, and we're able to continuously check it. And this supports our emergency management operations, as well as operation and maintenance of the levee system, which Nashua has in that area. Be happy to address any questions.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, Alderman Gouveia.
In regard to contract for professional engineering services in the amount of $50,000 funded from 81100 Capital Improvements and 81700 Infrastructure Improvements. I'm going to make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve the engineering services contract with Hayner Swanson Incorporated, now part of IMEG, in the amount of $50,000 for professional services to update the BPW standard specifications for sewers and drains, road construction, and sidewalk construction. Funding will be through Department 169 Wastewater and 161 Street Fund Streets 81000 Capital Improvement / Citywide Infrastructure Improvement, Wastewater 81700 Infrastructure Improvement / Merrimack River Levy.
Again, for the record, Dan Hudson, City Engineer. So the engineering department within the Division of Public Works manages the inspection, permitting, and construction of sewers, drains, roadways, and sidewalks in the city. In addition to the work that's done in-house, that's the contracted work we manage. And to support that work, we rely on the standard specifications for sewers and drains, road construction, and sidewalk construction. Those are 3 separate documents, last adopted in 1992, 1986, and 1995. So those documents are long overdue for an update. There's been changes in environmental regulations, construction standards, materials, all those sorts of things. So we're seeking to contract with Hayner Swanson, who has recently been bought by a larger firm, so now IMEG. Contract with them to assist us with that effort. It's been on our to-do list for years. We just haven't been able to get there because of everything else. So they'll help us do that. Hayner Swanson also helps with oversee our paving program and our sewer rehabilitation program, so they're well suited. And they're also do local development work as a private company, so they're well suited to understand all the facets of the various standards and be able to assist us with those updates. Be happy to address any questions.
For the record, Alderman Clemmons is now present as of 7:05. Alderwoman Clee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this basically is just updating, as you said, the standards, which is the documents and so on that we would use when we're putting out the contracts for our updating our sidewalks, roadways, sewers, and so on. So when we build our contracts, this is the standards that they would have to meet, or repairs or things that we would do. We would have to meet all of these standards. And these are the industry standards that are set by whatever, the government or whoever it is that sets these. Is this correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Our construction contracts refer to a number of standard documents that may be NHDOT standards in addition to the city standards. But things like, our current documents allow you to put in asbestos pipe. Well, we don't do that anymore. We don't want that anymore. And nobody does that, but it's time to update the standards to remove those sorts of things and clean up the language. And we also hope to develop some, better details to go with the standards. So what we hope is as developers come in and develop in the city, they'll just grab our details and slap it on their plans, and we'll be sure we're getting what we desire to get and what's in conformance with our standards. So that's the idea, is just better standard documents that everyone can refer to.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager. Alderman Govea.
Regard to change order number 2 for pavement markings in the amount of $162,000, funded from 54275, signing and striping services / general fund. I'm going to make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve change order number 2, Markings Incorporated of Pembroke, Massachusetts, in the amount of $162,000 to add additional quantities to FY24 contract for pavement markings. Funding will be through Department 161 Streets, Fund 54275, signage and striping services / general fund.
And Mr. Ibarra is on Zoom.
Good evening, everybody. So as you read, this motion will encumber the monies allocated for a striping program in our annual operating budget. And this company has agreed to hold their price through spring of '25. So we'd like to award a change order and encumber these funds. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Who's the company?
Alderman Moran.
Who's the company?
Markings Inc.
Thank you.
Very pleased with the work they're putting out, and they're very responsive. It's been a positive experience awarding it to them.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager. Alderman Govea.
In regard to change order 2 for the dry well valve upgrade in the amount of $31,571.60, funded from 81700 Infrastructure Improvement / SRF loan. I'm going to make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve contract order 2 to the dry well upgrade contract with Northeast Earth Mechanics LLC for modification to the wash press discharge chute layout in the amount of $31,571.60. Funding will be through Department 169 wastewater, Fund 81700 infrastructure improvements / SRF loan.
Mr. Boucher?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dave Boucher, wastewater superintendent. So this is change order 2 to our dry well upgrade, mainly for the wash press discharge modifications. To explain what the wash presses are, all the wastewater comes through the wastewater plant, and mechanical bar screens pull up rags and large debris to our ground level, where it falls into a wash press. The material is squeezed and the water taken out for the treatment. The rags are pushed through a trough into an adjacent room, into a rag can where it can be removed off-site. Historically, we've had issues with the design of these wash press chutes because of the 90-degree elbows. Also, we have the troughs are located near the ceiling, so we cannot open up the access panels for general maintenance. So this is to lower the troughs. In turn, the stairs have to be modified that were under the troughs. It also includes repairs to the wall between the two rooms. This also includes relocation of our shut-off breakers, disconnects in that room. They're explosion-proof, so we have to relocate them to an area that's more easily accessible for our crew. It also includes putting in a garage door opener for that rag can room on the outside, so that employees don't have to go around the building to open up the garage door from the inside. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, Alderman Govea.
In regard to change order number 1 for the Water Street Bridge retaining wall repair in the amount of $14,350, funded from 70500 project contingency / riverfront TIF bond. I'm going to make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve change order number 1 to contract for Water Street Bridge retaining wall repair with Everooks Corporation in the amount of $14,350. Funding will be through Department 183 Economic Development Fund 70500 project contingency / riverfront TIF fund bond.
Mr. Hudson?
Thank you. Dan Hudson, City Engineer here, assisting Director Hannum. DPW is helping manage some of these construction projects on the riverfront as part of that project. This is to a change order to address concrete repairs to the retaining wall on the approach to the Water Street Bridge. They were more extensive than anticipated. So pre-construction engineer went out, hammer sounded all the concrete, see what's loose, what's not. But when the contractor actually got there and they got into the work and drilled into the existing concrete, they had to expand a little bit upon the work that was in the contract. So with this change order, this completes all work and it balances the contract, and that project will be done. Happy to address any questions.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next communication from Amy Gerard, Purchasing Manager, Alderman Govea.
In regard to purchase of asphalt and aggregates in the amount not to exceed $144,500, funded from 61507 asphalt / general fund and 61535 gravel / loam / general fund. I'm going to make a motion to accept, place on file, and approve the sole source purchase of asphalt and aggregates from Brock's Industries and Continental Paving in the amount of $144,500. Funding will be through Department 161 Streets Fund 61507 asphalt / general fund and 61535 gravel / loam / general fund.
Mr. Ibarra?
John Ibarra, Superintendent of Streets. This motion will encumber the funding out of our operating budget to the suppliers, Continental and Brock's, of our asphalt and aggregates that we utilize in streets daily operations for the projects that we're performing. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Ibarra.
you.
Unfinished business resolutions, we have none. Table in committee, none. New business resolutions and ordinances, there aren't any. Record of expenditure. Alderman Govea.
I move that the Finance Committee is compiled with the city charter and ordinances pertaining to the record of expenditures for the period of August 16, 2024 to August 29, 2024.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. General discussion, are there any items of general discussion? We'll move on to public comment. It's time for the public to comment to the committee, but there are no members of the public here. Remarks by Alderman. Any, Alderwoman Clee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to let the public know that this Saturday, the National Historical Society has one of their cemetery tours at the Universal Unitarian Church from 1 to 2:30. The tickets are $20 apiece, and our own Alderman Derek Tebow is going to be one of the reenactors. So it's going to be a little different than the last one. It's going to be from, I'm just trying to make sure I get the time right, 1 to 2:30 this Saturday. If there is rain, it will be on Sunday. The last one was, there's going to be 18 grave sites that you can visit, that you go around and you speak to the, I forget which one he is playing, so you're going to have to go and see for yourself. It was quite interesting the last time. I can tell you that they learned their lines, they learned their parts and who they were, from Daniel Abbott to Stearns to Greeley to very interesting people throughout our city as they stood by their grave sites and explained the history and who they were within Nashua. So I hope that there's a little twist this time around. You can get a little bit more history with some QR codes and so on. So I hope that you'll be able to make it. They are selling some, I guess, T-shirts as well to kind of supplement this. And the money goes partially to the UU Church as well as to the Historical Society. So it's a win-win throughout that. And it is a little rocky walking through that cemetery, I will tell you that. But it was fun. And the reenactors from young to old. And I think the weather's going to be good. I think it's going to hold out. It's going to be nice and cool this time around. So anyways, that's this Saturday, and it's at the UU Church, the cemetery behind it. So, thank you.
Alderman Moran.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Tuesday is primary day.
Yes,
I
it is.
encourage everyone who wants to go out and vote.
They can register too.
And register, yes.
Anyone else? Alderwoman Clee.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, at this time, I would like to make a motion for adjournment.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, and the meeting of the Finance Committee is adjourned at 7:18 PM.